Hey, how's it going, dudes and dudettes? Big Jake here. Lately, I've had quite a few people ask me, how do you make Synthwave in Garageband on your iPhone? Or how do you make music in general in Garageband on your iPhone? And today, I wanted to put together a video giving you guys a few tips on how I do that. So, let's get going. Alright, before we get started here, guys, I just wanted to give you a little disclaimer. In this video today, I'm not going to be going over specifically the synthesizer parameters I'm using. I'm not going to be going over how to come up with like a melody for a song, how to write a song or anything like that. If that's something you guys want, leave a comment down below. I'd be more than happy to make some videos on that. Today, we're kind of going to be looking at, you already have a song written and it's just not quite sounding how you had pictured it. It's not quite sounding right yet. We're going to be going over a little bit of the mixing and mastering process. So it might just be maybe you want it to sound older and it's sounding a little too modern. We're going to show you guys kind of how to do that. And I have a song pulled up here that I put out on the channel a few days ago. We're going to look at that song before I use the tweaks that I'm going to show you guys that they kind of give it that cool synthwave sound. So here's just a little bit of it. So you can hear the ideas are there. And it's not sounding bad. It's just missing a little something. Not sounding quite as good as it could. Skip a little bit. Alright, so the first key that I'm going to tell you guys for this type of music, and it may sound super simple, it's reverb, and it's a lot of reverb. And if you don't know how to do that in GarageBand, you just go up to your settings there, track controls, and it'll open up a separate channel there for each track. And if you go down, you have a master echo and a master reverb for each channel. So what I like to do is I like to take each synthesizer by itself and I'll solo it. Kind of hear what it's doing on its own there. Okay. Yeah, that one you can really tell. That's missing it. Yeah, see? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of the tracks here. I'm not going to make you sit through and listen to that, but it's a pretty simple process. It is kind of subjective to what you think sounds good too. So that'll be something that's unique to you and your mixing preferences. Alright, now this is especially crucial on the drums, I think, and I'll show you what I mean there. We'll just solo the drum tracks here, and we'll play, let's see where they're both playing there. There we go. We'll play a little bit of it dry for you. No reverb on that. Yeah, see what I mean there? That one really adds a lot to it. Alright, let's keep going along here. Alright, so we have that started anyways. And I'll give you a little listen to where it's at now. It's not quite all the way there yet, though, if you listen through it. But it really does add a lot. So at that point, I would say the track is pretty much ready for mastering. You go out of the song back to your home screen for GarageBand, and you select the track you were just using. You tap on this little export icon on the bottom left hand of the screen there. You want to export the song. And what I will usually do, you definitely want it to be uncompressed if you can. And I usually just use the WAV file there. You hit share. And here's what you can do. You can use open in, the third option on the bottom row there. It's going to take it a second. Let it do its thing here. All right, now when that's done doing its thing, you get to choose where you want to save it to. You go save to files. I'll save it on my iPhone usually and under GarageBand there. Hit add. You can save it on your iCloud if you'd rather do that. That's fine too. And it's done saving. Now, this is where the magic really happens. This is where you really hone in your sound. It's the mastering process. And what you're going to want to do is start a new project for that. Go back out into the root of the project there. You're going to want to go up to your loops, actually. This is not really a intuitive place to put this, but you don't have to worry about that too much. And you should see your file right there. What you do is you hold down on it and drag it on over into the song. Nice and easy. You can delete the track that you had to add in. Now, if you didn't line up the beginning of the track with the start of the song there, that's a good time to do it. Don't want any dead time at the beginning of the song. Do the same at the end of the song too, but that should be good. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing that we did before, track controls. This is kind of your last chance. You can listen through it. If it still needs a little bit of reverb or a little bit of echo, you can add that over the whole track here. We're not going to, but you can. Oh, I forgot something very important actually. Notice how that cut off? This is a good lesson actually. You need to go up to your song sections there. There should only be section A when you make a new track. You need to turn automatic on. If you don't do that, the song will only import the amount of bars that you have. So seven bars there, and that's no bueno. So we'll go through that process again. In the loops, drag her out and delete the track. Cut her down. Pretty good there. Pretty close. Oops. All right, to the beginning of the song. Okay, so now we can go to track controls like we did before. And most of what you're going to be doing in here will be plugins and EQ. So one thing that you might want to do before you start really messing with all of that is to go into your settings, go down and find GarageBand. There it is. And there will be an option down here, enable iOS effects and plugins. Just make sure that that's turned on. That'll give you a few more options in this process. And you can also download lots of plugins from the App Store. So feel free to look through some of those. We are actually going to be using one from the App Store today. There it is. It just loaded, the LRC5. Okay. That's just another visual EQ. It gives you a little more control. They only have a 3-band EQ built in, and we actually want to turn that off. We don't want to use that. Okay. This gives you 5, so that's why I use that instead. But you can also see here, if you go into the edit and add, you'll have all those AU plugins that you just enabled. So that's pretty cool as well. And a lot of these are useful in different phases, you know, in the recording process and the mixing process and the mastering process. But what we're going to be looking for right now is the AU peak limiter. That's pretty essential in the mastering process if you want your song to turn out pretty loud. Now what I'll do before I do anything is I'll mess with the EQ here, so we can turn everything else off. Now I will say, before we get going on that, only you know what you wanted your song to sound like when you were conceptualizing it. So I'm just going to show you kind of what I would use on most of my songs, and it's not like a cut and paste. You have to individualize it to each song, so it's not gonna just necessarily work awesome for your tune. You're gonna have to kind of tweak it, and only you know what you wanted it to sound like from the beginning. So just keep that in mind as you're doing all this. Try to hone in your sound to sound like what it was in your head when you were writing the song to begin with. But I kind of like it to sound like it's playing through, I picture it like an old car stereo. So what you'll usually kind of want to do is play with this while you're actually playing the song, so you can hear what you're doing in real time. It can be helpful anyways. And I do like these touch controls, but if you want a little more control over what's happening, you can come over here to the faders. And that really gives you some good control over what you want your sound to be. When you get that dialed in to what you want, you'll know. It'll just start sounding a little better to you. And then you want to work on making the song a little bit louder for when you export it. And there's a couple tools here that can help you do that. You can mess with the peak limiter and the compressor. Those are both really helpful in that process. Now the peak limiter is one of those AU tools that we just enabled. I usually go about 0.005 for my attack time. Release time varies. Let's listen to it a little bit. Okay. And now you get to set the pre-gain. That's what's going to give you that extra volume. You'll know when you get it too loud. Kind of hear a little bit of pumping with it, especially when you export it. So you're just going to have to tone it back until you find a place that you think sounds pretty good. You can also mess with your compressor. I don't think that was quite as necessary in this song. But yeah, there's a few tools you can use to help your final project just sound a little bit better than it would if you just exported it and didn't do a thing to it. So what you would export it the same way we exported the first one there. You would just select the track and you would go to the export feature and you could export it to your iPhone, or you could email it to yourself or whatever. You can export it in a different format if you didn't like the lossless format there. You could do an MP3. And like I said, this song, the finished product's already up on my channel, but I'll play you just a little bit here. And I'd love it if you guys would like, subscribe, and until next time, my dudes, stay classy.